I am a clinical psychologist by profession. I have a doctor of psychology in clinical psychology and also a master's in counseling psychology. A psychologist, I know you would want to know what we do as psychologists. Psychology is really the study of the mind. So when you study psychology, you learn how the mind thinks, how the mind is wired. What causes the mind not to be able to sleep well, because the mind has chemicals and neurotransmitters that would affect that. And like there's that old adage, and I think it's also a Bible verse, you know, as a man thinketh, so is he. So as a psychologist, what you work on is the mind. And the mind allows us to see your core beliefs, the messages you believed about yourself, things you believe, like people who say, I'm not good enough, I'll never amount to anything. That's a thought process. But actually, it becomes real in their life, because then anywhere they go, if it's work, if it's in relationships, they are believing that nobody will like them because they're not good enough. If it's performance, I can't do well, my boss will never see me as a performer because I'm not good enough. So we work with the mind, and what we try to do is we pick negative thought processes, negative core beliefs, and that is what we shift to give you a thought process that allows you to live life meaningfully, and a thought process that allows you to appreciate yourself, affirm yourself, and be positive about your life.
Excellent. And I think that clarifies in terms of what parts that we are talking about even today.
Yes.
Now, we are going into our children,
Yes.
the young ones. By the way, what ages do you classify children and teens and adults?
Yeah.
And, you know,
Teens are above 13 years, the teen years, 13 to 19. And then below 13 is who we classify as children.
excellent.
Yes.
Now, let's talk about the latest news
Yes.
in town. Schools closed until January.
Oh, yes.
How do you see this affecting our children? Do you think, especially the candidates, the class 8,
The
form
class
4?
8, the form 4.
Yeah.
To some extent, I think this is going to be different depending on how the child is wired. There are those who probably were getting anxious towards August, towards November or October during the exam, but now because it's been pushed to next year, that anxiety is gone. There are those who probably now are wondering, what do I do now that I thought I would be done by this time? So then again, they start building the anxiety. So anxiety is really more about your thought processes, what you're telling yourself. If you're fearing that this may mess with your performance as a child, whether class 8 or form 4, that is likely to cause you anxiety. If you're taking it as a nice break, a good time to be able to prepare better for when the exam will be announced or when it will be done, then that child is likely not to have any anxiety.
Excellent.
So it will depend on how they will take it, and I would encourage the parents to allow them to see it as an opportunity to prepare themselves better, so that they can be able to sit the exam in a healthy way.
Give us 2-3 pointers that parents can use to talk to these children about. We are closed. You know, it's next year.
Yes.
To a child, maybe a year is a very long time as compared to an adult.
Yes. How to prepare them for this season? Again, the candidates or the children?
The children.
All of them. I hope, and I know we said that last time, like parents are going through this alone. They are not engaging their children. A parent, we said, has taken a pay cut or things are changing, but they are not engaging their children to know what's going on. So anything that is happening in our lives, if schools have been postponed, that we need to sit with our children and negotiate with them. Now that you're not going to be going to school, how are you going to be spending your time? So that they can come up with activities, they can come up with house chores that the children will be engaging in, things they can learn to do, to cook and to play and to knit and to work, so that they can learn all these new things, so that we are having a setup for children where they are not idle in their rooms, they are not forever on telly, they are not on their phones or internet, if there is Wi-Fi in their homes, or if they are allowed to access internet. So it is a time to engage the children and to allow them to do those things they are able to do at whatever age. And the rule of the thumb is whatever a child can be able to do we allow them to do. Even if it's make their beds, even if they are 3 years, let them do it. If it's to clean their socks, let them do it. Because this is how we also allow our children to build resilience. It is a time for parents also to allow the kids to learn to do things so that they can build their resilience as well.
Let me pick up on that point.
Yes.
We have, it's true, and we know that some parents pamper their children too much, going by the point you've just made, that their kids who don't touch any utensils, they don't wash their clothes, they can't cook, they can't clean, sweep the house, they nothing. Because some of our parents say, I grew up in a very, very difficult environment. I never want my children to experience this. Talk to us about that.
Yes, I have had that in my office. Let me share experiences. I remember one mommy telling me, why do I have to teach my kids to wash clothes? Why do they have to wash them with their hands or do dishes? Because they'll have a dishwasher, they'll have a washing machine. And I told her, that can break down. Or, how certain are we that they'll have those things? And even if you'll have bought them, how certain are you that they'll be able to sustain them? That aside, the key thing why we teach people to learn how to do things is to build self-reliance. That I know I can cook for myself, I can make my bed, I can do things for myself, I can make a meal for myself. And as someone is at that, they are building number one, life skills, they are building resilience, they are building patience, they are learning to do things. You can imagine such a man, a boy or a girl who is trained how to do dishes, how to make do things for themselves. Even if they made a good CEO or a good manager, they'll manage the staff very well because they have respect for everybody. They know what it is to do dishes and they do it joyfully.
That's right.
It is not a bad thing to learn how to do these things. So parents, let us teach our children to do everything. If you have a car and you have many cars in your compound, allow your kids to learn how to ride a matatu. Send them to town with somebody. The next time, send them alone. We need to create and to allow our children to learn how to create a path for themselves. Don't create for them.
Daktari, now, life skills. I like that discussion.
Yes.
And these are life skills we are talking about.
Exactly.
How you can survive on your own, assuming that you're dropped somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Following up on this, you can't take a matatu. You're driven everywhere.
Exactly.
So you don't even know which routes the matatu
takes,
matatus take. Washing your clothes, going even to negotiate for something.
Exactly.
You know, you send go to the shop or go to the timber yard or go to the carpenter, tell them, I want this done, negotiate with them.
Exactly.
Talk about life
skills. I mean, I like what you're asking because, I mean, a child who is taught that everything is available, they can negotiate. I mean, they don't have the pinch of what it means, the value for the money. They will not value life. They'll not value things that you have even left. And I think in Kenya, we have seen families who are like that. So if you're teaching your children to even work, do a few things at home and pay them. If you have a car, they can clean it and you pay them. You can have duties for them. I know many people have let go their house helps at this time, that you can have the duties and know today you're the one cleaning the house. Let's try, especially with the teenagers or any child above 8 years can be able to do something, that they have some chores, and then you will notice once they start saving their money. And then if they were to buy something or a pizza and they realize how expensive it is, they'll not want to spend their money. That way then you have taught them value for money. And they're attached hard work to money. We are also teaching a life skill about working hard and making the money, not a culture of corruption, because this is how it is peddled. We don't teach our kids a value of working hard to be able to earn something. We are teaching them to just see if somebody is going to provide. So if they go to an organization, it's not about working hard to earn my money, it's about getting what I find in the kitchen and using it for myself. So it starts at home. How are you going to train our kids to have skills that will make them be self-reliant, be self-resilient? That is so important. As they are cleaning the dishes, as they are waiting for the meat to cook or the rice to boil, that they have patience to wait there and keep stirring the food. And as they are doing that, they are learning something. As they are doing the dishes and some sufurias are messy and they have to learn how to scrub them, They are learning something. They are learning decision making. That's a major life skill. They are learning patience. That's another life skill. They are learning how to communicate assertively, not just cow out because I don't know what to do and I don't know how to speak up. They are not being aggressive. They are learning how to be assertive. They are also learning to appreciate themselves and celebrate themselves. Yay, I made rice today. I made ugali today for the family. I cut fruits for the family. That can be even a 6-year-old who cut the fruits for the family. So they are able to celebrate themselves and know, oh, I did this. And when you come as a parent, please just appreciate them. The ugali may be having some unga, but just appreciate them because tomorrow they will make it better. If they have made their bed, don't go to smoothen it.
Yeah.
Just appreciate them. Then tomorrow, as you continue training them, they'll get better. And also one more thing. Parents don't have patience to teach their children how to do things. So even as we are complaining that our kids don't want to do things, whoever trained them? We are not patient enough. A child will try to make their bed and a parent will come and try and, what are you doing? What is this you have done? So the child is invalidated. So they don't want to do it again. They try to do the dishes and then you just come and keep checking the cups. Those perfect mummies.
Yes.
This one has soap, this one, and they keep throwing them back. You go and wash again. So the child is invalidated, they are not approved, and they don't want to do that again. So train them, but then again, watch them do it step by step until they perfect the act.
Excellent.
Yes.
You spoke about something which is very key and has hit home quite a bit. And you said, and I want you to follow that up.
Yes.
The day you're not in this world and you leave your children, your property, and you never taught them patience, decision making, the value of money, chances are that it will all be blown away.
To a great extent, yes.
To a great extent.
Exactly.
Talk to us about that and the examples, some of the examples you've seen.
Yes. I guess probably we may not be able to give tangible examples.
No, we don't have to mention names. Yeah.
But we can go by what we need to talk about is investing in the child, not investing for the child.
Investing in the child.
In the child,
not
for the child. Because when you invest for them, they will just fold their hands, throw their feet up. See, now I have an apartment, I have a shamba, I can sell, I don't have to work hard. But if you invest in them, they have a wiring, they have a resilience in their mind to even come and grow that business, to even make it a bit better and a bit bigger than how you left it. So you invest in your child by educating them, teaching them resilience, allowing them to do things, allowing them to grow up and to adult, not to continue treating them like children. There are parents and fathers who are not trusting their children, who are in campus, who are 25-year-old, who are working, but they will not even trust them with maybe their businesses, or even their cars, or even their homes, but they want them to be men. How are they going to be men? Who taught them how to be men and husbands? And hence, one of the reasons why you're finding a lot of mess with the young families, because nobody has trained the girls or the boys how to be wives, or how to be husbands, or how to be men, or how to be adults, because they are constantly being provided for. Today, you find many kids in 35, even 40-year-olds still living in their parents' homes. That tells you a lot.
I would want us to talk about that at some point.
Yes.
Where 30, 40-year-olds are still living with their mothers.
Yes.
But before we go to that, talking about those 40-year-olds living, let's talk about allowing your children to make mistakes.
Yes.
And then working with them and correcting them.
Yes.
Because maybe that 20-year-old, 22-year-old, 25-year-old has never been given the opportunity to drive the car,
yes,
scratch it, or have it hit, and then it becomes a big deal. How do you mold people through
making mistakes?
Yeah.
It's number one, that we all have a label of a human being, an adult, a pastor, a professor, a doctor, whoever you are, you have made mistakes. Parents have that perfect cap that they wear. So every time we make it look like we were number one in school all the time, we knew what to do, we were obedient, we never smoked weed or drank alcohol. We make it so, we sanitize ourselves a lot.
Yeah.
So our kids feel lost because they're like, I can't measure up to this standard. This is way too high. So they just decide, this is my life. I'll never measure up to because they are constantly being told, you cannot be this, you're not my child if you're not this. So let us allow them, as young as they are, to make mistakes, but to define what mistakes are. They should not be defined by their mistakes.
Yeah.
Mistakes are lessons. They are lessons for life. They are lessons that allow you to say, for example, if it's an exam that they failed, that how did you prepare for this exam? What can you learn about this exam? The one that you passed so well, because we should also not allow our children to be defined by success.
Yeah.
Or by good boy, good girl. Those labels are so bad. Because people grow up waiting and feeding on that. I'm a good girl, I'm a good boy. Then they grow up and they come to the society, and the society is not calling them by that name. You go to an organization, what is expected of you is performance, but you still are expecting to be called a good girl, a good boy, because that is what was the label at home. So we don't have good kids, we have responsible children. What are they responsible in? What are you teaching them to become responsible about? About their own life, about their own bodies, about school, about work if they are working. So when they make mistakes, you sit with them and ask about the lessons. What have you learned from this? How else would you have done it? What did you learn from this success? How did you do it so that you can transfer this to this other one that you're not working so well in?
Yeah.
So mistakes are lessons that we can do. As parents also fail in their businesses or fail in their other areas of their life, how can we make those mistakes lessons so that our kids know we value them and we are not disapproving of them when they make mistakes? And let me tell you, parents can really use negative language when kids have made mistakes because they are feeling embarrassed. It's really not about the children. They feel like, you're my child, you got pregnant. You don't belong here. You're not my child. Because they're trying to protect their image. It is not about the child anymore. So the image is more important. So we need to be careful that our kids know we love them, appreciate them for them, not for the things they do so well. And even when we correct them for the mistakes, that we are sure we are correcting the mistake, not the person.
Right.
Yes.
Excellent. Let's shift a little bit to children's behavior. Sometimes you have aggressive kids, aggressive behavior. We all know people who bullied us or who used to fight in school.
Yes.
You all know that one or two of your schoolmates who used to fight and bully everybody.
Yes.
Talk to us about aggressive or what you'd call, I don't know, is it dysfunctional behavior?
We don't want to call it so much dysfunctional
Yeah,
behavior. But that's a way of communication. Aggressiveness is a way of communication. And we talk about like 4 types of communication. There is assertive, which is positive. This is where you respect yourself and you respect others, how they say things, how they do things, and you respect their space as well. There is a passive communication where someone is just, someone is just there. They allow everybody to walk all over them. They are not able to express themselves and say what they want and what they don't want. So they give opportunities to the bullies to bully them. They are very vulnerable. Then we have the opposite of passive communicators, that is aggressive communicators. These people are loud in the way they walk, in the way they speak. I mean, they just walk into a room, you will see them. They are very argumentative and they must have the final word.
Yes.
So when they are like that, then you can imagine a passive person. They will not even have time to speak because they will be dominated so much by this other person. But the challenge with aggressive communication is like the one for the survival for the fittest. So these ones are people who probably grew up in such an environment, a very aggressive environment. So they learned how to fight for themselves. Anything they must have, they must fight for it. So a lot of aggressiveness in children is role modeled while they are growing up. How do they see the mother behaving? Maybe she's asking for money or she's asking for something from the partner, or the other way around. So if she starts throwing tantrums and words and even throwing things, that's a message to the child. When you're not having your way, when you're not getting your way, get aggressive. You'll eventually get it.
Yeah.
So the aggressiveness is really role model to some extent. And you notice that, allow me to say that, you notice that children who have grown up seeing their parents fighting. We've had sessions where men saw their mothers being hit and being beaten, and they vowed never ever to hit a woman. But they get married. 3 years, 5 years down the line in their marriage, they hit their wife. And they hate themselves so much. But they don't remember that the script they have, the template they have of what you do when you're angry is to fight. Hit something, hit somebody who is going to be nearby you. So what we need to teach to reduce the anger issues, the aggressiveness, is to teach our children how to dissipate the anger, how to process. When you're angry, talk about it. Talk about what makes you angry. But if as an adult, you're not talking, but you're hitting things, you're banging doors, you're throwing things, you're teaching your child to do exactly that.
You've touched on an important point, which is gender-based violence, and it's tied to what you've just said. And the boy sees the father fighting the mother.
Yes.
Is it always the case that they will do the same to their spouses?
In most cases, yes. In almost all the cases, they may do exactly that, because I'm saying it's what their mind habituates to. This is the norm. They've not seen any other setting.
Yeah.
They've not lived with any other family. But in this family, because kids take their parents as gods, what they do is what is okay. What they do is what is right. So if the father does get angry, and when he gets angry, he hits something or he throws something or hits someone, the child keeps learning. This is how you behave when you get angry. And we are saying everybody can get angry. It is what you do when you're angry. So what is role model to these children is when you're angry, you fight it out. You argue. You keep quiet for 2 weeks, not talking to anyone. So you find that later in life, as an adult, you're walking in the same pattern. You're doing the same things because that is what was role modeled to you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Following up on that, let's talk to parents whose relationships are on the rocks, so to speak.
Yes.
You're either about to start fighting, or you're already fighting, or and some who use children in the fight, and the impact of that on the children. Yeah.
So the ones who use the children, or the ones
they're fighting,
they're
so
fighting.
there's an impact on the children
already.
a sort of impact, which you've addressed.
Yes.
And then others who withdraw children from the other party.
Yeah.
As a way of fighting them. I know we covered a bit of this.
Yeah, we covered a
last
bit of
time,
this. Yes.
But also speaking negativity to the children.
Yeah, and I remember that, and I know we said that to remember that your child has half of you and half of the partner. So whether you like them or not, you're messing with your child, because your child is not completely you, whether you're the man or the woman. They have half of their partner, of your partner, whom you don't like. But also for parents to know that what failed to work is the marriage relationship. But your child is born, and we now can't take them back into the womb or wherever they came from. They are here. And as parents, we are supposed to be taking care of them. I think the question we need to ask is, how can we co-parent in a healthy way? Because we will continue remember, the separation already is affecting the child. And then constantly all the time, we are using the child now as a teddy bear. I would use that word. Because then I'm going to punish your mommy, I'm going to punish your daddy by making sure they don't see you. I know daddy likes you very much. So if there is anything I'm going to use is deny him access to see you. And allow me to speak to any lady, any man who is doing that. You're not punishing your partner. You're punishing your child. And they have to constantly keep wondering, how come kids talk about their daddies and their mummies in school? So every time a topic like that comes up, your child takes a beating. Their esteem takes a beating. Where is it coming from? Because you have refused to resolve issues as adults. And I know these things are very painful, but I think last time we said people need to grow up, and I say that with no apology.
Yeah.
Adult and allow yourselves to allow the kids to grow in a healthy way, even if separated. That we can be friends when it comes to talking about the children issues. When it comes to our relationship, let's fight it out away from the space of our children.
Yeah.
They don't have to know mommy is dating this person and you're talking so ill of this person. Daddy is dating this person and you're talking so ill of daddy because of this person. And I think I said, and I have done this in my office with many of these families.
Yeah.
If I'm a lady, allow me to use that. I am not going through the experience, but if I know my partner is separated, we are separated and they're already settled with somebody else, and my child has to go to that home, I would want to be a friend to that lady, because my child goes to be taken care of by that lady, not the man necessarily. So as we get cordial about that, we resolve our own adult issues and allow ourselves to be adult enough to allow the child to be in a happy environment, because they are welcome to this home. But we fight so much that we keep insulting each other. So you still sending that child to that home. What do you expect the other person to do? What do you expect the other man to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
To technology. And there are risky places that you can find online, violence online, pornography, radicalism even, where people can have a radical. How do we keep our children protected?
Yes. And I know you asked earlier what would cause our kids to be aggressive. Also the things they'll watch, not just watching the parents fighting or siblings fighting, but the programs you expose them to, like wrestling, for example. If your child is constantly watching that, they are learning to habituate to hitting people and fighting and doing all these things. So we need to be careful, like now because of online learning and internet now being available in homes or on phones, even if not as Wi-Fi. What is your child watching? Do you have conversations with them? Have you set, ground rules as you go to the internet? These are sites they are these sites. Let them understand they are these sites, and this is what they are about. It's for example pornography. If you watch pornography, this is what it will do to your mind, and this is what you'll want to do. And this is going to, what did I say? Get addictive, become a habit. And maybe a very negative habit and a tough one for you to break. So we don't talk about these things, but our children still go there and they are exposed to it. And sometimes those things just pop up while they're doing their own things. So spending quantity time and quality time to understand, while you studied today, what else did you see? What else did you watch? And even allowing them to have time to talk with their friends, so that even as they are doing that, you get to know what's going on. Who are their friends? Do you know their friends? Do you know their parents' friends? What goes on in that home? What are these kids allowed to do and to be? I've had cases where parents will say, we have no Wi-Fi in our home, we have no TV in our home, because I want my children not to grow up with all these things. But they don't go to your school. They don't go to your church. They go to a school where we have other children who are allowed all these gadgets. So they come and tell them stories. They come and show them actually, because they will carry their phones. So it is basically just getting to spend time with your child, to even throw, topics to them. What do you think about sex? What do you think about pornography? What do you think about masturbation? They'll giggle a bit, but you get to know that they may actually know more. And let me tell you this. Kids all the time, especially from ages 10 and above there, they know more than the parents. They can actually educate the parents.
That's very scary.
And then the hallelujah parents, we need to be very careful. Not everything is demonic, because we demonize these things. Those words, they can't even be mentioned. So when a child mentions, you can't even mention sex, it's like demonic. But these are things that happen in real life, and they know them. So we need to educate them healthy boundaries. Talk about healthy boundaries. that you cannot have sex at this time. This site you cannot go to this, because this is what it will do to you. This is what will happen. Yeah. No matter how Christian we are, no matter how Muslim we may be, let us talk about these things, because they are real and our children are struggling with them.
You talked about the Hallelujah people, and I think we are at a point where religion probably clouds some of the realities in our life, where anything that is not good is of the devil. We can't talk about it. Speak a little about religion.
Religion. And I like that you said religion, because when I say I'm a Christian, so when we talk about being hallelujah, is where you're being so holier than thou that you're not acknowledging the things that are happening in the here and now. And when you talk about religion, it's just about those things, the do's and don'ts. I think we need to talk about spirituality, our connection with God, regardless of what church you go to. What's your relationship with God? Are you obedient to what he says in his word? Not about our church says you can't do this and that, because now that's religion. So where the religion or your spirituality makes you not see the realities of life, how you need to train your child to be sexually responsible. I mean, see the number of pregnancies. It's because we have not talked to our daughters and our sons to talk about the healthy sexual boundaries. What boundaries do they need to set in terms of relationships? That you can have a relationship, but you cannot do 1, 2, 3. You know, for example, when I've talked to my kids when they were younger, we would say, if you're relating with a boy or a girl, you cannot start holding hands, you cannot start kissing, you cannot start doing this, because you light a fire that you cannot put off. We need to be realistic about these things. But you don't want to talk about that, and you keep praying. You're constantly in your room praying that they don't touch. You know, you have seen, they have come, they are seated there, and then you go to your bedroom to pray that they don't touch. Go talk to them.
Praying and fasting. I mean, of course, with respect to people who are with respect to people who are. Now, the same topic. At what age can a girl get pregnant?
When they are
earliest.
The earliest, even 8 years old. As long as they have matured, they are getting their menses. It means they have eggs that can be fertilized and will form a baby.
So that discussion needs to happen to them.
They need to have. Now we need to start at 6 years. And it's very simple, and daddies can also do it. Talk about the menses. Talk about now when they mature, and talk about the womb. You know, you can call it a pot. The child will understand and even draw, and show them what happens then, and the what is it called? The ovaries on the side of the body on the womb, and you show them how the egg matures, and then the uterus or the womb is preparing itself for the baby, so it's thickening the wall. But now when it doesn't receive the baby, that wall wears off, and that is the blood that comes out. The child will be so enlightened. When they see the blood, they will be very happy because they know what it is. Kids get scared because nobody has ever talked to them. And we all don't have to be biology teachers. But we can Google some of these things and read and be able to explain to the boy as well. If you have a son, they need to understand what menstruation is. Because what they do when they see blood, maybe with their classmates, they start making fun and laughing instead of understanding that they have matured. This is what is going on with them. And the girl will also not get scared because of seeing the blood. So when you do that, then you can explain to them how to take care of themselves.
Absolutely.
And it's very basic how they need to use a sanitary towel, how to place it on their panty. Even as a daddy, they can do all these things. I know that generation of 16 Nahuko, that one we allow you to be, they may not do it, but now you and the younger ones, we need to learn how to do that for our kids.
Let me follow up on that. We talked about the age that you talk to girls about their menses and what that means, and the issue of how does a father talk to the daughter? That's one. Two, boys. Can a mother talk to their boy about the changes, about growth, about hormones, about that kind of growth and what they can potentially do to girls.
To girls, definitely, by all means.
As a mother.
As a mother, yes. As a mother, we have many single parents. What do? And probably they don't have a father figure, or they've not identified one who needs to talk to their boys. That the same way we are making it very simple here as we talk about how to talk to the boys, the girls, that a mother will talk about the changes a boy will go through. A deepening of voice and the hair in different places and what that may mean. And also to check, is the boy okay? Hearing from the mother. Some of these boys are very close to their mothers because that's the only person they know. So they probably will trust their mothers to give them this information. But also a mother needs to gauge and see, are they recipient? Are they willing to hear it from me? Or are they feeling like, you're not a man, you don't go through this, so you can't be able to help me with this.
Absolutely.
So at that point, then you'd even ask them, of all your uncles, name your uncles, the uncles he has, who would you want me to engage, to connect you with, so that they can take you through this process?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's talk about teaching our children simple, basic financial lessons and budgeting and I want this now. No, you can't have it now because,
Yes, we call it delayed gratification. How do you teach your kids? It's not just about money. It starts with, I want fries today, and maybe you had planned to do rice, or you had planned to do githeri or whatever meal, but the child will throw a tantrum, and then we go back to the kitchen and make them what they want. So what are you teaching? You want it, you'll have it.
Yeah.
So we planned to, even when you have the money and you can afford, that you have promised to buy something, postpone, so that you can teach your child to delay that gratification, which is something about life. That they'll also learn how to, when they earn their money, they are not quickly going out to spend all of it. They will take time to plan what to buy, how to spend their money, and how to save. Some of these things we fail to teach our kids play out a lot, even in future, in their life, how they handle money. Yeah.
Let's discuss a related issue which you've just touched, and that's diet. Pizza, chips, ice cream, and all sugar and spice, whatever it is they call sugar and spice and all things nice. And the impact on our children.
And the impact on the children.
Yeah.
It's sad that now you're noticing that we have many young kids who are diabetic, and we never used to have that before. Some of it is more because of the foods that we are allowing our kids to have all the time.
Right.
That these are things, again, I said, a lot has to do with training and patience to train. Patience to say, when you take your cabbage, when you take your sukuma wiki, when you take your spinach, this is what it helps you with. But you see also some parents also don't take those vegetables.
That's right.
So how are you going to role model to your children if you're not taking the vegetables and you just want nyama and ugali?
I grew up in a very difficult environment. I used to eat chapati once a year.
Yes.
So I don't want my kids to go through that. I've heard that a lot.
Yes, that language needs to go. Because your parents did the best with what they had. And they gave you githeri as the only choice they had to keep you alive and to keep you going. But today, you can take githeri as a choice. That was the only option.
Yeah.
And for many families, maybe 60s and above, will tell you stories of githeri without beans.
Yeah. With salt.
With salt. No, not even, with kitungu or anything.
Yeah.
So today we have a choice of taking a healthy meal of omena or githeri because it is a healthy meal. And it can be part of the meals we take. And we can enjoy it. But for those parents who are still fixated, githeri is a sign of poverty, then we need to change that mindset. Because it's not a sign of poverty, it's a healthy meal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about I know the school environment may have changed.
Yes.
But let's talk about boarding schools. There are parents who send their children to boarding schools when they are very young. Does it affect them? At what age is it appropriate? Talk to us about that.
That's a very sensitive topic, but the challenge is, I mean, you've seen what's going on. Besides the physical needs of a child, food, shelter, and clothes, and water, and all those things, and security, one of the biggest needs for children is love, and unconditional love, affirmation, appreciation, a hug. You know, when they come crying to you, this is what is happening to me. And when they grow up with that, their esteem is developed. They are validated at home, they are approved of. Now, in boarding school, a teacher has 50 children, 100 children. How are they going to give that? So boarding school, most of the time, will give everything else. And if you have people who went through boarding school, not all of them, but majority will have that attachment issue where they may not even remember to call their siblings. I remember dealing with one case, I think this is like 6 years ago. These guys were working along the same street in Nairobi. It was either Kimathi, I can't remember very well. Different buildings, like a kilometer away from each other, but they would stay for a whole year without ever meeting, not even lunch. All of them had gone to boarding school.
Siblings?
Siblings, yes.
Really?
Because also that takes away that bond, that attachment. Because who are you going to attach to? And I know parents who took their kids to boarding school from class 1.
Yeah.
These are formative years when a child needs to be at home to have the love because that's what the child needs below 8 years. So when we are taking them so early, it really messes with their self-concept. Who am I? And they are comparing themselves with so many kids. And another reason I have seen that makes parents take their kids to boarding school is really for them. It's really for them to continue with their businesses and their work. But there's a lot of mess for the kids. If your child is the passive one, if the child is the vulnerable one, you can imagine the level of abuse that will happen to that child. So you find those who are molested sexually, you find those who acquired all these manner of orientations that people are against today, and also kids who are bullied but they didn't know who to talk to because they are threatened a lot. So I would ask parents to really assess again and again and ask, what's the reason that I need to take my child to boarding school? How are they going to get the love they need? And this is a space where people are more operating at self-esteem level, how I feel. It is not what you give me. And the delicacies you talked about, that you took chapati once in a year. Our kids, it doesn't matter what you give them. Food is really not a bother to them. Clothes, you know, they don't have that out. They wait for Christmas outfit. They don't have those things. They can even go in those funny sandals to church during Christmas because they are not bothered about clothes and food and all that. That belongs to that other generation, my generation and other people in my generation or probably above me. But our kids really today is about how I feel, how I connect with you. Even in the workplace, the millennials will talk about, I am not feeling appreciated here. It's not about the food on the table that they are putting, but my generation, it didn't matter how your boss treated you, as long as you had a paycheck, you worked. This generation will wake up and resign because I'm not making an impact. I'm not being felt. Nobody is feeling me here. So it's about emotional connection. So a child being taken to boarding school today, how do they get that emotional connection? Who do they connect with? Who do they connect with? We really need to check that.
Let's talk about something you've mentioned here, instant coffee gratification or solution, like you're saying.
Yes.
You're only 23, 25.
Yes.
And you say, I'm not making an impact. I don't feel, and then others want to drive a big car, live in a big house, go to Dubai and wherever else every time they want. And that probably could lead to some sort of issues. Talk to us about that. Instant
It's the same thing. I want it now. I must have it now anyway. I want to have it, and that's the part we talked about. The lack of ethics, work ethic. You know, like you don't just earn $500,000. You don't just start earning $1 million.
Yeah.
Like your manager or your CEO or whoever. You grow steadily. You know, you start low, but you know where you're going. But it's a generation that wants it now, but with no achievement. What will qualify you to earn that? What will qualify you to have that big house? What qualifies you to have that big car? It probably, you'd have to get it from somebody else, but not from your experience. And of course, we have young people who are doing so well in their career, maybe something they started. But if it's employment, first employment probably will not earn people more than 200.
Yeah.
From campus, it's mainly between 20K and 100. Those who are lucky to get that job.
Absolutely.
So they need to be patient enough to learn to grow, to take time. So the people who will be earning that money probably have worked over 20 years, over 30 years for them to be there. That's the investment people are not willing to do.
And that is linked to what you said earlier about teaching them patience.
Exactly.
Resilience,
decision making, and to allow themselves to grow. And as they are growing, they are getting better, and they are getting rewarded for their efforts, not rewarded for just being there. And you know, we talked about our education system.
Yeah.
I joke about that a lot because even our education system missed that. Because I think when we had this mushrooming of all the schools and all that, for us to sustain the schools and to keep our children, the kids coming to the schools, there is this culture that evolved of rewarding even handwriting. So a child has an E, an F, but we are going to clap for them for a good handwriting. Who is going to get a good job for a good handwriting?
Wow. Wow.
Yes, a good handwriting is okay.
Yeah.
But we need to sit down and tell them they need to work hard.
Yeah.
That is what will get them to a good job.
Yeah.
We'll celebrate them for being able to dance nicely and have good looks.
Yes.
Who gets a good job for good looks? No, you get good job for your brain. So we need to, you know, inculcate that at the family level and in schools, that it is out of your hard work, it is the brain and, you know, your character as well that's being rewarded, not just a few things that you may pose here and there.
The good boy, good girl.
The good girl, we said responsible children.
Yeah.
How responsible are they?
Yeah.
If as a parent you got sick today and you have a 15-year-old in the house, would they feed themselves? Would they take care of their siblings? Have you trained them how to do that? Would they lock the doors? Or they would probably be in a corner somewhere waiting for mommy, daddy to come home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen in the recent, say, 1-2 weeks, since the lifting of the curfews and lockdowns, it appears that people are sort of back to normal. We have parents who are leaving their children at home, and we have seen growth of parties, you know, kids organizing parties, house parties, and things like those.
Yes.
How do we keep an eye on that?
On that, one is to recognize that they also want to get out, that they are bored at home, that they want to socialize, they want to connect with their friends. So we need to facilitate that. They also need to stay connected with their friends. If you have a child, and I will give this assignment to parents for teenagers, just buy them airtime. Tell them it's your time, this 1 hour I've given you time to call your friends. Buy them airtime and see what happens. They will brighten up, they will feel connected, they will feel that you are understanding them, because they said they are at an age where they want to connect with whoever they choose, not the one you choose.
Yeah.
So if you have a culture of allowing them to connect online, if they are not able to meet face to face, then you notice that need to go for those parties will not be there. Yes.
That probably related to drug addiction,
Yes.
alcohol, weed, and others.
Yes.
Talk to us about that as we wind up the session.
The issue of course, majority will be experimenting, you know, social use because they are with their friends and having fun and, you know, getting euphoric and this high that they look for. But majority would also use it just to feel good. They are so low, they are so sad, they are so anxious, and a friend has told them, if you take this, you will feel better. If you take this, you will sleep well. So those are what we call negative coping mechanisms. And parents need to educate the kids. And also, if there are kids hearing us today, do not engage in this negative habit as a way of treating yourself and medicating yourself to be able to sleep well, experience a high, because they will trigger mental illness. They will trigger depression, they will trigger conditions like bipolar, they will trigger conditions like trauma, anxiety. So we need to be careful. If someone is not sleeping well, let them talk about it. If they are feeling sad and low, let them talk about it. Let them tell the parents, I need to talk to someone. Parents, if you're observing your child is low, locking themselves more in their rooms, engage them. Find out who can talk to them. Can be an uncle, a sibling, send them to a therapist so that they will be helped, so that they are not using these substances. And I need to say, these things will be there with us all the time. But there are kids who will not touch them. There are children who will not use them. There are kids who will touch them and know, this is not for me, because of maybe the reaction. But there are those who will continue to use. So it is not going to be like evils. Let me use it that if you know your child took or smoked weed, that you almost want to kill them.
Yeah.
Engage them and want to know, how was it? How was your experience?
Really?
Yes. And not demonize them and
pray and fast.
Exactly, engage them so that then you have an opportunity to tell them, if you continue with this habit, this is what is likely to happen. Or even send them to someone who will be able to explain what weed is doing to their brain, what alcohol is going to do to them. But again, remember what we said last time, that if you're doing those things, if you're taking the alcohol, how are you going to educate your child that alcohol is bad? See, they know. So you have role modeled to them. So it is going to be very difficult.
Speaking about role modeling, I know probably parents sometimes how do I do this? And some of them probably take them to their places of work, or you talk to a friend and tell them, why don't you show my child that this is how life really is? And that will bring me to, is it teaching them life skills or is it child labor? Because
were it not for Corona, if it wasn't Corona, if it was something else that is making us have a sort of a lockdown or a sort of not being able to for kids to go to school, would ask all kids to be taken somewhere to have life skills. Take them to a farm, take them to your office, take them to a hospital, where they can see. If they want to be a doctor, let them have an experience of a hospital setting. If they want to work in a hotel, take them to a hotel where they will work not for pay, because you'll be paying for the life skills. They'll be earning the life skills they get when they go to that kitchen and they see how people work hard, how the chef is sweating there making food for people, how the waitresses have to stand the whole day to serve people. Just take them to a place and tell them, I have brought this child, they are volunteering, don't even pay them anything. That is the best thing we can do to our children. Teach them how to do things. Take them to someone who has a law firm if they want to do law. Let them see how things are done. We have pegged everything to money, that they must be earning. They have no skill. But if they are on the ground and observing what's happening, how accountants work, how doctors work, how nurses work, how cooks and chefs work, how drivers work, if that's what they want to become, you can imagine that's a lesson that they will never forget. Because it is experiential. And experiential learning is the best that we can ever have. We don't have those opportunities. Many schools, I know, will take their children through community service. That is what is called community service. They'll even go to a children's home to take care of young kids. We don't allow our children to work in homes. We can even allow your child to go and stay with their auntie to take care of the baby. They will learn a lot of lessons from doing that. We are so protective, and then we want to get them out into the society to do things that they never learned.
Aligned to that, talk to us about career and choosing careers for your children,
Yes.
and how that can impact them. Yeah, some parents say you must become a doctor, you must become a pilot, you must become this, you must become that.
And then they go do it, then they bring you the certificate. Here is your certificate, let me go back and do what is mine.
Yeah.
So engage them and know, is that what they would want? Take them through a career assessment that will be aligned to their values and what their goals and dreams and desires are. But it is also important to say many kids don't know exactly what they want. So it requires a lot of engagement with their teachers, with them, whetting their appetite. And that's why I said, like, while they're in high school or college or even primary school, taking them to some of these places will make them decide, this is what it means to be a doctor. I don't want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
This is what it means to be a media person. I don't want to be this person.
Yeah.
But also parents to be careful. Is it your name? Is it your image? Is it that are you the one who wanted to be a doctor but you never became one? So you're forcing it on your child. So that we can have a doctor from this family, we can have an engineer from this family. So it is about you, then you're not going to help your child.
Absolutely.
Because it may not help them at all.
Absolutely.
So engagement, assessment, throwing them into that field for them to have an experiential lesson will help for them to determine what they want to become.
Absolutely. Yeah. Last question as we wind up. Some of us grew up with a good link and bond with our grandparents, assuming you're in an urban area.
Yes.
And you know you have a link with your grandparents. Maybe things are shifting a little bit now. There's a lot of concentration in life in the urban areas.
Yes.
Is there value, a good connection with, once in a while, throw your children up country and let them experience? Yeah.
With the roots.
Yeah.
If they did that from a young age, that helps. Because also we have grandparents today who are busy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's a bother to take the children to them.
Yeah.
And also probably they feel disconnected, either because of the language barrier, or they feel like these kids, I can't be able to take care of them the way I see them taken care of. I think it boils down to relationship. Have this relationship been built? Are you also as well connected to your parents? Because that is what they will follow. If you're really connected to your parents and you have a good relationship, they see it. So they also bond with your parents as well, or their grandparents. But it is important for them to understand their roots, know where they come from. Once in a while, they can go and spend time with them. It also will matter whether they are welcome by these families as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Last question as we close.
Yes.
Corona or COVID-19 coronavirus is a crisis for us.
Yes.
But is there a dint of something positive we can pick out of it? You know, something that maybe, if this hadn't happened,
will not be there.
Yeah.
I think as a psychologist, probably because of always wanting people to see the positive side of life. There are so many positives from this season. It is a time people have more time for themselves. It is a time people are able to reflect on themselves, on their lives, on their relationships, on their businesses, on their career. They would not have had that time if they were always out there.
Yeah.
It is a time that people have to check on their kids and to see, this girl has really grown now. Where have I been? It's a time for daddies to observe that their sons are even having that deep voice and now knowing I have another man in the house.
Yeah.
We would not have had that time were it not for this season. So what are the positives? Being able to reflect and restructure our lives in even post-COVID. Are we going to go back to our usual busyness? Are we going to now make relationships more impactful? Are we going to be able to nurture the things that we have realized today are very, very important? Because one of the key lessons is relationships. When businesses have failed, when work is gone, what have people gone back to?
Yeah.
A brother, a sister, a partner who can take care of you.
Absolutely.
That's a relationship.
Yeah.
If you didn't have that relationship, what would you have done?
Absolutely.
So as we think about this season is now learning to reinvent ourselves, to rethink how to spend our time, to know how what can we value more, and shed off some of the things we valued that were not adding value to us.
Absolutely.
So there are a lot of positives about this. Even spirituality.
Yeah.
The churches are closed, but if you have a connection with God, I mean, that is not closed. You can still pray from anywhere as you walk, as you're at home.
Yeah.
So it's more those things that we give meaning that really we are realizing, kumbe they are not that important.
Yeah.
We still can worship, we still can have a family time, we still can connect with each other via Skype, via WhatsApp video and all that. I don't have to go for a meeting, I don't have to fly to another country for a meeting. We can save that money as an organization. There are so many things that we are learning from this. Of course, there are negatives when you think about schools and the teachers who don't have a salary, especially private schools. It's very sad what they're having to do and what we are reading from the papers. But let us see what support can be given to these people. What support can we give to somebody who we know is suffering like that? But to understand that relationships now come top, and they are the ones that were put last in the pre-COVID. Work came first. Family didn't even come first. Work came first. Money came first. Doing tangible things came first. Owning things and buying cars came first. But now we know that we have those things, but they're not giving us meaning.
Absolutely. What
is giving us meaning is the connections we have, and this is a time to invest in what we are calling the social capital. Yeah.
Excellent, Doctor. This is very, very enlightening, very instructive. And we are glad that you're able to share this with us and share with our customers and our fans and our viewers things that were it not for Corona that we are doing.
I know.
We are doing this online.
Yes.
Maybe some of us would not have experienced this.
Yes.
So I'd really like to thank you for your time. And once again, I would like you to just say, who you are, where we can find you, the issues that people may need addressed, and how you can help them.
Okay, thank you. Like I said, I'm a clinical psychologist by profession and also a life coach, and I deal a lot with mental illness, relationship issues, marriage, people who are dating, people who are going through issues in their relationships as well. I have a center called Blossom Out Consultants. We are located somewhere Parklands, near Parklands Police Station. The contact is 0705 671 777 if there's anyone who would want to call. But you can also follow us on YouTube, Blossom with Dr. Nancy Nyaga, and also Facebook, Blossom with Dr. Nancy Nyaga. We are doing a series on mental wellness and also relationship issues, especially in this time, just to help people to cope better.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
This has been very useful to me and I think to viewers. So thank you very much for those who are watching and joining us. And we value your time, taking our time to be with us. And until we come back next time with yet another edition of topics that would be very helpful and useful to us, have a good evening and enjoy.